There is more peace somewhere.
There is more peace somewhere.
I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service for the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn now this morning is number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace, from the Teal hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace.
Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our house, a haven for the hearing, an open room for question and our inspiration. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity and worth held deep inside us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice, where all our sacred differences here shall not divide us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house house of peace. Let all in this house seek truth, where scientists and mystics abide in reverence sweet. Let this be our house, the house of our creation, where works of art and melodies consecrate the atmosphere. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of prophecy. May vision for our children be our common theme. Let this be our house of faith and lore and legend, a trove of ancient story and cradle of our tender dreams. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you to those of us joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue to live stream and post these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I am Alec Peck, the chair of the worship committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the worship committee who make this service possible include Adam Wedeking, who is monitoring our visual and online connections, and Kate Lowicki in the back, who is in charge of our sound system. Thank you both. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. Before we begin, we ask you to join in a moment of silence for the devastating conflicts occurring in the world today, as we pray and hope for peace and justice. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you. And also, welcome to the season of Advent, which starting today and encompasses the next 3 Sundays and will culminate on Christmas Eve. Taken the Latin word adventus, translating as coming, Advent means the beginning of an event or the arrival of a person. In the Christian tradition, this is a time leading up to Christmas, and Christmas marks the 4 Sundays in Advent as a way to prepare hearts for the coming of Christ. For non-Christians, it can be a special time to incorporate the abiding qualities of hope, peace, joy, and love, and maybe buy a few Christmas gifts. The theme of the first Sunday of Advent is hope. We will light the first Advent candle of our 5 here, symbolizing hope. And once again, we welcome you all to today's service. And Bill is just in time. And I really hoped you would be here.
Gravitational variance. Nowhere is gravity harder than when you're just trying to get on there. Verse 5.
The hope candle
as in I hope I want
Thank you, Candlemaster Bill. But before we move into the rest of the service, there are a few announcements that I would like to share. We're going to mention a few websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. And at the end of the service, we will leave up a slide in case you missed any of that with that information, which is also available on our website. The monthly newsletter, the UUCR newsletter, comes out on the first of each month by email and per request by postal mail. If you have something newsworthy or just anything that you would like to contribute, please email uuchurchofriverside.calendar@gmail.com, or you can call the church office at 951-686-6515 if you'd like to be added to the mailing list. And you can please contact the church office. Our first Sunday lunch will be this Sunday after the service. Our theme today is One Pot Meals, and so we hope that you will join us. Contributions are appreciated and will be donated to the church fund. The Concerned UUs of Riverside, CURE, the community outreach arm of the Social and Environmental Justice Committee, will be meeting in this social justice room on the second floor of the annex at noon, following the lunch. You can find more information on on the website under Social and Environmental Justice. Today is also the final day of the silent auction in the parish hall. Please place your final bids for goods and services to raise funds for our church. The 2023 Mission Inn Festival of Lights continues today until December 31st. Downtown light displays will be illuminated from 5 to 10 p.m., and UUCR will be open to the public during the festivities. We'll have snacks and drink sales, as well as crafts made by some of the members, and a selection of gently used Christmas items to raise funds for our church. Donations of snacks, bottled water, and individual packages of hot chocolate are appreciated. Please see Robert or Avery for details. And finally, the Women's Federation is pleased to sponsor an all-church Christmas party on Saturday, December 9th at 2 p.m. in the parish hall. Please mark the date for Saturday, December 9th at 2 p.m. and bring a white elephant gift, that's something under $10, and your favorite sweet or savory treat and beverages for sharing. Actually, just a few more. Whew. The Lunch Bunch will be meeting on Saturday, December 16th. That's in a couple weeks at 1:30 p.m. Please see Pat as well for reservations. And now, finally, the Church Council will meet on the second Friday of the month in the annex. That meeting is going to then be at 4 p.m., and that will be December 9th. That's this coming Friday. And now I would like to invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. And you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Today's reading was written by Reverend Susan McDonald Maginn. Ordained in 2006, she is a UU Navy chaplain currently serving in the Marines in California. Reverend Maginn is the first female chaplain to serve an all-male training battalion at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. And today's sermon is titled Peace, Justice, and the Wisdom to Know the Difference. Peace is born from the shadowy room. Peace is born from tension. Let us not be neutral, but instead wrestle with the tensions that give birth to peace. We have two lightings of sacred flame. The first is the occupied Indigenous peoples' remembrance candle, and the second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. For we walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign people, the original peoples of this land who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of Indigenous people, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano, and we, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. Because we are blessed with a space to live out an opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. And we will now light the chalice this holiday season, this time of waiting, to remind ourselves to enjoy the moment, the now of our lives. Yes, much is coming, and always we wait through the dark of this time in the winter. But these things to come will also be now when they come. Today's reading for the chalice is First Sunday by David Breeden. The first chalice lighting of Advent reminds us to be patient. Please repeat with me. I think, is there another slide? In this holiday season, may we find the patience to forgive ourselves, to forgive those who do not do as we wish. May we find patience. May we find the wisdom to let be. Thank you, Bill. And now we have a tradition here at UUCR to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps old friends who are returning after some time away. We know that it can be uncomfortable to stand and speak in front of others, and so I will ask for a volunteer for someone who has been here a while at the church to give us their name and how you found out about our church. We ask that you step closely to our microphone here and speak into it directly and clearly so that everyone can hear. However, please be aware that you will be visible on our Zoom camera. Oh, actually, you will not be visible on our Zoom camera because for right now, we do not have, we have a firmware update going on, so you will not be visible, which will not show your face in the recording, at least this week. But first, do we have any church members who would like to volunteer? Avery, thank you.
Name is Avery, for anyone unfamiliar with me. I discovered the church some years ago. I've been a member for many years, but I was homeless and I wandered in and for the free coffee and got chatting with people, and I was impressed with the family spirit here, and I became a member and have been ever since and enjoyed it.
Thank you. And that's how it's done. So if you're new here, a visitor, or an old friend, please raise your hand and stand up, and we'll come to the microphone here at the front of the pulpit. And if there's anybody, yes, thank you. And if there's anybody online who'd like to introduce themselves, please raise your hand and we can call on you by Zoom. Please let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you found out about us. If you could please come up to the, unfortunately, we don't have a microphone to bring to you. Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning. I'm from Michigan and Wisconsin, and then I ended up in homeless in California this year. So I found a church because I was looking for a polytheistic church, and I found a self-proclamation church. It just seemed like a good another church. That's all I found.
You're welcome. Yeah, sorry for the confusion there.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name's Annette Allison, and just to say earlier, I worked at a high school, and I used to be the one with the speaker. So I learned how to talk very loud when I needed to. So that's why I mentioned this. Actually, I'm right here from years ago from Riverside, but I now live in Costa Mesa. And I'm here with my friends. And my friend back there, Peter, comes here. So I was invited to come to the church today. I've actually, when I lived in Riverside, I came here several times, but now that I'm in Costa Mesa, I'm just getting adjusted to decide what church I want to go to. Anyway, thank you.
Hello, my name is Lorna Dela Cruz, and I used to go to this church many years ago. So I'm familiar with it, and I go to another church now. Something happened and they were closed today, so we're all dressed up and ready to go somewhere. So we thought we'd come here. It's been a long time since I've been here. So
I'm glad you're back.
yeah.
Adam, did we have anyone on Zoom? For any other new guests, you can please join us for socializing and a little bit of coffee after the service. We'd love to chat with you out there on the parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you were here, and if you can leave your contact information if you'd like to know about upcoming events. And for those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. It is said that a shared joy is a double joy, and a shared sorrow is a half sorrow. On the first Sunday of each month, we share the joys and concerns that we have received from you and which you have collected throughout the month. First, I'm going to read the joys and concerns which we have received throughout this past month. First, a joy for Steve and Robert's new puppy, Prince. A concern for the passing of Lee Greer's father on November 30th, just a few days ago. Our hearts go out to the Greer family. And a concern for our friends who are experiencing illness, wishing them a safe and smooth recovery. And also a joy for Steve, who has been hired for a permanent employment position. And so if there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak their joy or concern, please raise your hand and I will invite you to come and speak at the microphone. Bill.
Joy that we've got the people who tend to the roads, who do the stuff that help keep the web of movement on the roads going. Everybody who's cleaning the aircraft, chasing the gravel off the road, towing cars in the middle of the night. It's tough to do that during this time, but I'm a big one for dealing with the people maintaining the web, even during the worst times. Also, for anybody who's got the Christmas blues, which does hit sometimes, It can be anything from that moment where you seek tranquil perfection and you know you're not going to get it this year, just like the year before. But to all the people who are dealing with the world as it is, and it maybe feel in more pain because the ideals aren't hitting the way they'd like, God bless them and strengthen them, make them be strong, resilient, and help them get through this. And for those of us who do not have the Christmas blues, well, you know, spare a cup full of joy for those who you think are looking a little weathered and tired this season. It does a bigger difference than you might think.
I want to share my own joy. And I spent my Thanksgiving in Las Vegas with my partner, Margaret. And my joy is that, for one, I got to go and see them, which is always a great time for me. But also, none of the food got burnt, and we had a very successful Thanksgiving. And also, I'm very joyful that I don't have any horrible experiences of Thanksgiving with family members asking probing questions and things like that, which seems to be an unfortunately all too common experience as well. Yes, well,
we may be wondering why Lunchbox Joe hasn't decided to tell Netanyahu to at least let the Palestinians go north now that northern Gaza has been secured by Netanyahu, instead of kettling them, the Palestinians in the south, for the slaughter that's about to come. Thank you.
we place a stone in our water chalice to represent the joys and concerns that we have shared with our church community, and in recognition of those that we hold close and not shared.
Dimitri, first stone. Yeah, but the first stone is for all of the things that we are struggling with. Maybe with the struggle be successful, yeah, so like Adrian said. Second stone. All the things that make us stronger, all the things that renew us, all the things that make us who we are. And that is for the people who couldn't speak today because they couldn't frame. You're still in the congregation. You're still part of the.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dimitri. May we remember those who have spoken, those we have named, and those that we hold in silence in our hearts. Our hymn now is number 346. Come sing a song with me from the gray hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 346. Come sing a song with me.
Sing a song with
This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church, and this can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here behind me, and you may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is shown here as well, and on the church website, and you can also find it in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market also gives our church a rebate on Stater's grocery cards, which we will have in the church each Sunday. You get the full value on the card, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Dinah Rowe or Robert Braun in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Will our ushers now please step forward to help receive the collection? Thank you. Our next hymn is number 402, From You I Receive, from the Gray Hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand once again in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 402, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive.
Our meditation today is by Elizabeth M. Strong. We are in the midst of the season of celebration, celebrations of the birth of new hope, of the festival of lights, of the triumph of freedom. The darkness of the year is lifted, and the time of light grows longer. We have gathered with an anticipation of hope for peace on earth and in our homes. We have gathered in this season of celebrations, seeking comfort to soften the pain and the losses of lives which have suffered in the fast retreating year. We have gathered to worship joyfully within this season of celebrations with the tenderness and love with family and friends around us. Let us be embraced by the strength and power of this sacred space that we each bring as we create this beloved community. Let joy and sorrow join in the fullness of our living. Let the power and strength we embody Join us together as we move through the seasons of celebration into a new year with a new vision of hope for peace on earth. Let us be silent together. And let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. And now I would like to introduce Laura Luna, who will be reading for us the sermon, Peace, Justice, and the Wisdom to Know the Difference by Susan Maginn. This service was selected from the UUA website and does not necessarily reflect the view of the reader. Laura?
Hello. Hi. Okay, I'll be reading this today. This is not my words. This is by Susan M., and I'll be channeling her today and speaking as close as I can through her. Peace, justice, and the wisdom to know the difference. We are in the midst of Advent, friends, and I have to admit how much I love this season. Like most clergy, I feel that this is my job 24/7, 365 to orient the world to the best of my ability toward peace, love, hope, and joy. And so at this time of year, it is a rare delight to imagine what the whole world is in harmony with my personal sense of mission. Much of the year, I feel that I'm a fish swimming upstream, but not during Advent. This is a season of when our heart grows in the ways of faith, hope, and love as we welcome people into our home, bringing gifts into the home of others. It is a time of wonder and awe, of sleeping in a heavenly peace, finding glimmers of possibility in the most hopeless of corners. It is about weaving stories together that pull us all through the coldest and darkest caves of winter, all the way through to the hope of new light, the promise of a warmth yet to come. At this time of year, people often talk about the kingdom of God and how Jesus was born to bring this kingdom to the realm of God, to earth. Talking about Jesus and the kingdom of God are not something that get talked about very often, if ever, from Unitarian Universalist pulpits. But I'd like us to wonder about this for a minute, about the realm of God and this whole idea, to see if there might be some gifts for us. For we, the religious skeptics, this conversation really has to do with wondering about our highest ideals and aspirations. We can start by asking, what is the realm of God? And if it existed, how would it be unique and distinct from the realm of humanity? Imagine, if you will, that we are walking through a neighborhood and we see a simple house with a yard and a door and windows and a roof. Just a simple house in a simple neighborhood. As we approach the house, we walk down the sidewalk and we see that it is quiet and tidy and beautiful outside. We knock on the door and we are welcomed inside. We meet the kind and lovely people within. Our host shows you around the place. We see that the furnishings aren't super fancy, but everything is well maintained and everyone seems happy and well cared for. As we are led toward the kitchen, we walk by the back window and we see a large yard covered in nothing but trash. Whoa, what is going on here? Onward onto our tour of the house, our host takes us from room to room. Most of the rooms are beautiful and inviting. Then we are encouraged to hurry past one room at the end of the hall. And as we peek through the doorway, we see that there are a cluster of people huddled in the corner, clearly in pain, appearing as if they do not have enough food or clothing or health care or something. You are shocked. There are people in the house who are content, sitting at the dining room table, relaxed as if there's nothing amiss. This is about the time we'd probably wonder who is running this place. What in the world is going on here? Do we walk through the house politely, smiling, not even commenting on the trash in the yard because we don't want to offend our host? Do we walk through without looking in that doorway, without noticing that there are human beings suffering in the corner? If we don't see these people, does that mean we are innocent? Are we the ones starving in the corner? Are we the host? Now let's go continue on our tour and walk down the block and take a look at the the house of God. In this neighborhood, God happens to live 3 houses down, and in God's house, there's enough for all, enough food, shelter, work, and health care. And because there's enough for all, the whole house is glorified by this accomplishment and this state of being. We want to be keeping up with the Joneses here. We want to look down at the house of God and say, man, I want some of that. There is equity down the block of God's house. There is balance. There is peace. Peace. The Hebrew word for peace is shalom, which means fullness and well-being. And this well-being is not for a few, but all. This is the kind of peace that is happening in the house of God. Shalom, peace with a capital P for peace. A couple of weeks ago, there was a call from Ferguson organizers for clergy of all stripes to preach on a text from the Hebrew prophetic tradition from Jeremiah 6:14, where the prophet declares, "They have treated the wound of my people carelessly, saying, 'Peace, peace,' when there is no peace." The wound is there because there is no justice, and the people who have been suffering in the corner are standing up and coming out. The people refuse to live hidden away in a negative peace, a peace of denial, a peace of submission, a peace of subjugation, a peace of silence, a peace of resignation, a peace of hopelessness, a peace of surrender, a peace of oppression. Here's Martin Luther King Jr. talking about the negative peace. "I must confess that over the past years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klan, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, 'I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods or direct action,' who paternalistically believes he can see the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season." He talks about the positive peace, which is in the presence of justice, and the negative peace, which is in the absence of tension. The absence of tension is negative peace. We need this tension to make positive peace. We need the tension between the power and the people. We need that tension to make positive peace. Tension is an essential ingredient when it comes to peace and justice. When that tension is not there, when that tension is not allowed or not tolerated, or when the tension is not desirable, then there can easily be an abuse of power, not just from law enforcement, but from Wall Street, the military, schools, medicine, the church. We need the tension and perhaps the realm of God. Without it, humans can easily grow into nothing but corrupt power structures, and on one side and on the other, silent suffering. They have treated the wound of my people carelessly, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. When I was in Ferguson, I stood among over 1,000 people who chanted, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. The march went down Canefield Avenue, the street where Michael Brown was killed. There in the middle of the road, the dried blood of Michael Brown was still visible, even while covered with flowers, candles, and teddy bears. We all circled around, and when the march moved on, I stayed behind with a few dozen others. We stayed in the street. It was loud. I remember a woman kneeling next to the memorial singing Amazing Grace. And right behind me was a boombox playing the 70s disco tune, Ain't No Stopping Us Now, We're on the Move. People were talking and others were crying, some were laughing and others were praying. There was no single focus to the group. People were doing their own thing, but what we all had in common is that everyone clearly needed to be in this spot. At that moment, a woman came to me and asked me, probably because I was wearing clerical collar, what are you thinking? Where is God? And I pointed toward the lamenting praise of the hymn, Amazing Grace, next to blood stains and the flowers, and then pointed back toward the toe-tapping boldness of Ain't No Stopping Us Now. All this beauty and all this horror blaring at us all at once. The tension. God lives and thrives in this tension, right here. The cacophony is the sound of churning hell into beloved community. Frederick Douglass said that power concedes nothing without a demand. And the people are demanding that the power structures awaken to their exploitive ways. I don't work in law enforcement, and I have a great respect for those who aspire to be highly effective in their work while doing it with poise and restraint. I've heard stories of protesters in Ferguson who have stood face to face with the police line, and certain officers have quietly said under their breath, keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up. When we are asking for an indictment, we are not asking for actual guilt. Indictment does not mean guilt. An indictment just means that there is enough evidence to warrant having a trial, to hear all the evidence. That's all. But it seems to me that what we really need is not a trial for an individual officer. We need a trial for the entire judicial and law enforcement system to present the evidence for racial profiling, mass incarceration, and the training that officers receive in the use of deadly force. We need a way to hold the entire system on trial for the benefit of all who serve the system and who have been served by the system. We need the tension. We need the police to speak their truth, and we need the people to speak their truth. We need the tension on the way to positive peace. We need a way to hold that tension that exists between the power structure and the people so we can find our way towards justice. This is what it is to wake up. It is like we are living in a dream world, and when the light of day pierces through the window, we wake up. We see with our well-rested eyes the truth that has not been seen before. I was once lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. When you have woken up to such a truth, When have you woken up to such a truth in your own personal life? For many people, it is what happens in relationships, believing that your partner or your parent had an idealized place in your life, only to wake up and see things with clarity. That person was not the perfect person. That person may have knowingly done harm. The trust is broken. Perhaps waking up means that you see that you are the person who has done harm, that you are the person who is not the idealized innocent you always imagined. Just know that it is only the privileged people of the world who are waking up, okay? The people in the corner are not waking up because they have never slept. While we dream, generations have cycled through. All the while, the people in the corner have been living in a nightmare in silence, confident in only one thing, that no one wants to hear their sob story. We are harmed. We cause harm. We are human. Meg Riley says, we are all such a mix of stardust and broken glass, and we treat the wounds carelessly, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. Here we are 2 weeks into Advent, waiting, hoping, living in anticipation for the Prince of Peace, a brown poor child born into a marginalized family, a Jew in the Roman Empire. The Roman word for peace is pax, and pax Romana meant maintaining the empire through and through with violent intimidation, unjust taxation, and criminal accusation. A brown child born into poverty and into the systematic oppression of being a Jew in the Roman Empire, with a heart knowing the beauty of shalom and the kingdom of God, like he knew his own breath, with eyes looking around, haunted by the injustice of the Roman Empire, seeing the tension between what it is and what it could be, and with a voice that could not stop telling the truth. We could say that true peace, positive peace, shalom, is the realm of God. This is the peace of God, the peace that passes all understanding. Yet if the peace of God is to come to us, it will ironically not come from the house of God. Peace will only come into our world by that other house, the troubled house we talked about. That's right. Peace is being born from the shadowy room. Peace is born from the neglected, the forgotten, the ones left to rot in the corner. Peace is being born from tension. Peace is being born through the streets memorials, the protests, the die-ins, marches, mall closures, and traffic blockades. Peace is being born through the Black mothers who labor and scream, enough, enough of mistaking order for peace, enough of saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. We lament through our days asking, just how long must we wait? How long must we pray for peace in blood-stained streets? How long must we walk in the valley of the shadow of death? Be with me, the voices cry out. Be with me, Lord. I am afraid and I am waiting. So be with me and anoint my head with oil and prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Just be with me. Do not abandon me. Be with me until I remember once again what you promised me, how goodness and mercy will follow me for the rest of my days, and I will walk in the house of God forever. The tension is real, and we are wrestling through it, led by visionary youth activists of color around the country. And the wrestling may sound like civil disobedience for some, but for people of privilege, the wrestling might sound like wondering if racism even exists. Wrestling can sound like worrying about the safety of police officers and the fear of Black people's outrage. The wrestling can sound like wondering if resisting arrest is justification for the use of deadly force, wondering if they deserved it. The wrestling can sound like wishing all the tension would just be orderly again. These are not views that I agree with. but I'm glad to see so many people wrestling with racism and trying to make sense of it all. I'm glad to see that these deaths that have been newsworthy for decades are finally making the headlines. If we are neutral on situations of injustice, then we have chosen the side of the oppressor. Desmond Tutu. So let us not be neutral. Let us wrestle with racism like Jacob wrestling with the angel on the riverbank all through the night until the morning light comes and he can finally get the blessing of his new name. In the morning, Jacob will now be called Israel. He was who wrestled with God. Let us wrestle until we are living on the right side of history. Wrestle until we overcome, until we make hell into beloved community, until we are given a new name. Let us be hungry for peace and worthy of the blessing.
Thank you, Laura. And now our closing hymn is number 131, as you see here, Love Will Guide Us, which is from the Gray Hymnal. Please feel free for the final time today to sing with us as the Spirit moves you, and stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
May whatever gatherings or activities we engage in this Sunday afternoon help restore us, our connection to one another, our sense of hope, beauty, and fun in this world, our deep knowing that we have to take care of ourselves and each other. With love and joy, we are to soulfully survive if we are to soulfully survive the world's mayhem. Namaste. Amen. And blessed be. And thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura, for taking your valuable time to do that reading for us. We sincerely appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you again. For those who would like to stay in the sanctuary for the next 10 to 15 minutes to share your observations or your thoughts about the service, you can remain in the sanctuary or online. but please be aware that those comments will be posted online. And for everybody else, we now invite you are welcome to adjourn into the parish hall and have a great rest of your Sunday.
One thing about that whole justice and peace, if you can't get it by the positive use of I want a world where people treat each other kindly, you can always look at it in the negative way, in the fuel of it that says, well, then do you want to deal with Mr. Malcolm X? I would prefer a world of kindness than a world of anger. Sometimes that anger can be used to keep a greater wrong from happening. Some of what happens with justice and peace is with justice, with everyone in the room looking around and saying, our problems are solved, or not solved, but we're coping with them. If such is the case, then your peace is something better than that mockery of peace that she spoke of in that one house at the beginning. I would hope that as we grow older and wiser, we build for a common loving peace. But if we choose to be thick-headed, I suspect that the world is quite ready to go and to meet us in that realm. And in a more painful way, we may still yet walk towards peace and justice and still gain that wisdom that seems to be some of our one of the more elusive qualities that we have.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, you know, I already said my flamboyant thing. As for saying something now, I so loved everything in this talk that I have nothing to say except go back online and repeat what you just heard. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
All right. I had one. Was there any comments online? Okay. For those of you still here, I'll read for you then the outro from Blue and Exile's No Greater Love, a great hip hop masterpiece. And this was written some years ago, so I've updated just a few of the lyrics here. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, and Hercules don't scare me. The FBI, Anti-American Committee, J. Edgar Hoover, President Nixon, President Trump, Lauren Boebert and her husband or her man, Robert F. Kennedy, all the Kennedys, Bank of America, Chase Manhattan Rockefeller. None of these people scare me. What scares me is that one day my son will ask me, "What did you do, Daddy, when the ship was going down?" Okay, and that'll be that. See you all next week.